What's going on, guys? K-Pine here and welcome back. And in this video, I'll be featuring a team that brought me on an 11-0 win streak, as well as a 21-4 run yesterday in the Spring Cup. This team features an Abomasnow lead, which is a massive core breaker to all of the grass and water type teams. You can run the Shadow variant if you want as well, but this is actually probably the only time I'll recommend the non-Shadow version, as I kind of like the extra bulk in this cup. But regardless, you have to be running Weather Ball instead of Icy Wind. The pacing to the charge moves is crucial over the Icy Wind debuffs here. Shadow Poliwrath on the safe swap, where this one is one where the Shadow variant is just significantly better for its counter damage and additional Icy Wind damage against Pokemon like Trevenant and Ferrothorn, as well as Lanturn in the back. Lanturn has the electric moves to deal with all of the opposing waters in this meta, as well as the Poliwrath safe swap, baiting out the grass types it doesn't want to see. And with that, let's get right to the battles. Alright, getting to the first battle lead, Abomasnow into Carbink. This is one of the few poor leads Abomasnow actually has in this meta, so we're going to safe swap into our Shadow Poliwrath. In comes the Shadow Vic. Poliwrath doing its job, baiting out the grass type, as well as getting to an Icy Wind. If my opponent shields that Icy Wind, I just farm down the Shadow Vic and leave with a ton of energy to threaten the Carbink with an energy ball, but they let it go and give me switch advantage because it turns out they don't need switch advantage themselves, as they actually have two decent answers to the Abomasnow and the Poliwrath and the Carbink. So what I'm going to do instead is bring in my Lanturn against the Poliwrath, as I know that my Abomasnow will have a better matchup against the Carbink than it will have against the Poliwrath, and my opponent's unfortunately running Power Up Punch. So I am going to have to use both of my shields this match on power-up punches. I want to preserve HP on my Lanturn, as well as knowing that I don't want a farm down becoming a problem from this Carbink. So I go for Surf number 1, that does get the shield, and I'm going for Surf number 2 to see what my opponent wants to do here. They're going to let that go, and now I can bring in, well, they have to let it go, they have no shields left, and now I can bring in my Abomasnow, who can comfortably tank this Rock Slide, as well as make it to an Energy Ball. Now this won't quite knock out yet, but it will put it in the perfect farm down range, as 2 Powder Snows do it, as well as leaving me on 1 HP, which was perfect because it gives the Poliwrath minimal farm, as we get the Spark down. GG's to my opponent. Next battle, we lead Abomasnow into Trevenant. Fantastic lead for us. We outpace the Trevenant to these Icy Winds. They swap into a Dugong, and we have the perfect response in our Poliwrath. Now, this is actually the exact team I was hunting with this line that I built here. It is a Trevenant or a Ferrothorn Lead, followed by 2 waters in the back, of which the safe swap tends to be a Dugong or a Walrein. Poliwrath comes in and shuts it down, as well as another water type in the back, like an Empoleon or a Tentacruel, which Lanturn is the answer to. And that team is everywhere, which inspired me to run this team. But I go for the Scald there when the Dugong was in the red, just because I'm not too sure if an Icy Wind would KO from there. Looking back at it, I feel like the Icy Wind would have. So if you're ever in that situation and your opponent goes for the Joe Run against your Poliwrath, you go for the counter down, not quite able to, you play to the CMP tie, throw the Icy Wind there. I think it should be a pretty safe bet. But if your opponent goes for the Icy Wind off the start instead of a Joe Run, then you play for the CMP tie and go for the Scald, obviously, because then the Icy Wind definitely wouldn't KO. As in comes the Abomasnow, and my opponent was core broken in that match as well, with the Trev lead and Lanturn in the back. GG's to them. Next battle, Abomasnow into Ferrothorn. We do have to watch out because some Ferrothorn are running Flash Cannon in this meta. I would say majority are running Flash Cannon, while another portion are running Thunder. I decide to take a risk here. I call the bait, and I make the right call with it being a Power Whip. If it's a Flash Cannon, that just straight up one-shots Abomasnow. So if they build up to 6 Bullet Seeds, which is enough for that Flash Cannon, it's kind of your call if you think they're going to bait or full send it. But here again, another Grass Lead, Ice type swap. Poliwrath comes in, gets the counter down, and there you go. Opponent concedes the match. GG's. Next battle, Shadow Empoleon Lead. Bad lead for the Abomasnow, but we have 2 answers for it in the back, so we're going to save swap into my Poliwrath, and my opponent is staying in. Those counters absolutely shredding through the Empoleon. Doesn't seem like my opponent had a good answer to the Poliwrath, and it seems like they really didn't, because now they bring in a Ferrothorn, and a Ferrothorn is their best answer to a Poliwrath save swap. Lanturn is going to go off here. They're going to fire off the power up right before I get to the next Icy Wind. That is perfectly okay because I have my Ferrothorn to shut down. My Abomasnow to shut down this Ferrothorn, excuse me. Weather Ball does land. And from here, I can just let it go. Even if they do Flash Cannon my Abama, Lanturn will be able to close out this game. Reading that Ferrothorn is most likely the best answer to that Lanturn. But they only have Power Whip, which is even better for me as we are able to get that Powder Snow farmed out. If the Empoleon comes back in, we're going to fire off the Energy Ball right away. We want to force that final shield to allow the Lanturn the opportunity to sweep. If they shield this, I'm going to swap instantly into my Lanturn, but they let it go, calling the Weather Ball bait, and in the back they have a Dugong, and this game is over. If this Energy Ball lands, I'm just going to Spark down and win. If it gets the final shield, then I'll be able to get to a Thunderbolt and take this one as well. I can let this go. Or they go for Icy Wind or Drill Run. We comfortably tank it. Now I'm going to over farm here. Want to throw on good timing. I give up a shield here. I would be able to survive another Drill Run, but they go for the Icy Wind bait. Nice call by them. Either way, it's not going to matter as this Thunderbolt does land and take out the Dugong. GG's. Next battle, we lead Abomasnow into Ferrothorn. Same game plan as last time, we're going to stay in. We're going to throw the Weather Ball after 7 Powder Snows for good timing. But my opponent here, they throw after 3 Bullet Seeds, which means they're running Mirror Shot. So they're on Mirror Shot and Power Whip, which is very fortunate for us that we don't have to worry about the Flash Cannon. But unfortunately for us, they do get the attack drop there on that Mirror Shot. The second Mirror Shot is in no range of taking us out, so we can let that one go as well and land the Weather Ball. I'm going to load up and fire off this next Weather Ball on the CMP tie, but because they got the debuff of the Mirror Shot to begin with, this Weather Ball won't be enough to KO. That's perfectly fine by me. I can let this go and get some energy on Lanturn, because if they're running a Ferrothorn lead, they need 2 answers to Mawile in the back, which are most likely water types, and Lanturn with energy is going to go off. But the absolute mad lad is running ABA Grass with a Jumpluff behind it. And that's not just any Jumpluff, that's a tiny Jumpluff. That's so small on this screen. But we can survive any move after we land the Thunderbolt. So we no shield that Energy Ball, just in case we do shield it, and then they would get a defense drop. And if they're ABA Grass, surely their third is a water type to answer that Mawile. So we will commit a shield there. We go for that Surf bait just because we expect them to commit the shield, because we don't want their third to see the Lanturn. And now we're going to load up here. And we would have gone for the Thunderbolt there just because to knock out the Jumpluff in case they called it, just because they are in counter down range for the Poliwrath. But they decide to try and catch a Surf instead, and that Thunderbolt does massive damage to the Empoleon, where my Shadow Poliwrath can now shield once and then farm the Jumpluff all the way down. GG's to my opponent. And it looks like that does conclude the first 5-0 set we got, as we get our starting elo as well at 2262. Going into the next battle, we lead Abomasnow into Trevenant, another fantastic lead. They say swap into Roserade. We don't have a great answer to this Roserade, so we're going to stay in with the Abomasnow. We need to fire off this Weather Ball right away, because switching takes a turn, and your opponent is offset. Throwing right away takes advantage of that 1-turn desync and bringing you ahead in extra Powder Snow, especially when these poison jabs chunk as much as they do. So we're going to give up a shield there, throw our next Weather Ball right away to get their final shield, and now bring in our Poliwrath because we want to save our Abomasnow for that Trevenant lead. We will have to give up a shield here to respect the Grass Knot or the Leaf Storm. This one's running Grass Knot, same difference either way. And back in comes the Trevenant, where we can now Icy Wind, do massive damage, and the Trevenant here is going to have to throw some energy to take us out, which they do. Nice counting by them, playing to the CMP tie. But here we can just bring our Abomasnow in and get the Powder Snow down before they're able to reach a Shadow Ball that would take us out. But in the back, they have an Empoleon. I wait there and try and save my Abomasnow for later. Just not able to do it. But either way, we're in a good winning position here, as Lanturn is a complete wall to Empoleon. I don't throw my Thunderbolt right away. I want to make sure I can reach a move, a Surf, to not take out the Trevenant before they reach a Seed Bomb. So I'm going to load up to the point where I know I'll be able to outpace, fire off that Thunderbolt, and then one more Spark brings us to that Surf to take out the Trevenant. If it's like a Lanturn Lead followed by a Roserade Safe Swap, you're going to still play it out the same way I did here in this situation. Next battle, Abomasnow into, what do you know, another Trevenant Lead. And this one's staying in, showing that they are absolutely core broken. Most likely a Lanturn in the back. So you notice there, I wait that turn, see the Shadow Claw come through so they can't catch the Weather Ball. And here I recognize they're playing to the CMP tie, so I overfarm instead just so I can maximize my energy. I'm going to throw one more Powder Snow, go for the Weather Ball, but this time I don't wait the turn and it ends up biting me as they make a very nice catch onto the Dugong. But we have the perfect answer in our Shadow Poliwrath. We can let this go, as it is the Icy Wind. Very smart play by them. If they went for the Joe run there, I would probably be able to get the counter down, but because we're not debuffed, but because they went for the Icy Wind, making my counters do less damage, I'm forced to throw energy. So very heads up play by my opponent right there. But back in comes the Trevenant, as we do have an Icy Wind stored, so we can instantly meet it with that. Now my opponent goes for the C-Bomb there. We're going to let it go. We want to save our shield. As in the back, it is not the Lanturn, but is instead the Empoleon, where we meet it with our own Lanturn, and they concede the match. GG's. Next battle, Abomasnow into Lanturn. Fantastic lead for us. See what my opponent wants to do. They swap into their own Abomasnow. Now, I do not recommend playing it out how I do here. I went for the Powder Snow and then dip into my own Shadow Poliwrath. I recommend swapping into your Shadow Poliwrath right away, because they're going to reach an energy ball either way, forcing a shield from me. But by swapping into my own Shadow Poliwrath right away, I'm able to get a ton of energy on it to then throw out the Lanturn. Even if you come in with your Shadow Poliwrath right away and they bait you with a Weather Ball, they're not going to reach an energy ball before you get the counter down. So just swap into your own Shadow Poliwrath right away, as that is the much better play there. But here I do land the Scald onto the Lanturn. They go for the Thunderbolt to take me out. I bring my Abomasnow right away, and they have a Tropius in the back. So opponent is core broken by the Abomasnow again. As we go for the first Weather Ball, and here I'm going to commit the shield, as I know that I will be able to outpace two more Weather Balls before they reach another Aerial Ace. I just need to make sure I'm throwing on good timing here after 1, 4, or 7 iterations of my fast move, as I will outpace and get to this Weather Ball before they reach their next Aerial Ace. I can then swap in my Lanturn, and at this point, opponent realizes they have no win condition left, so they concede. GG's. Next battle, we lead Abomasnow into Jumpluff. Fantastic lead for us. And even better, our opponent is staying in. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw this Weather Ball after 7 Powder Snows. Not quite enough to take out the Jumpluff yet. So I will commit a shield to respect the acrobatics, which it is. And our opponent lets us get the full farm down. Oh no, they have a Venusaur in the back. I can only imagine what their third Mon is. If Jumpluff was their first that they stayed in, and now they're bringing in their Venusaur. They must be so weak to the Abomasnow. Opponent does end up giving up both their shields here. So I'm just going to commit the shield myself and then fire off this Weather Ball right before they reach another move. But again, I need to be a little more patient. I need to wait that turn as they catch onto a Lanturn. And now this endgame could get a little tricky. I could just save all this energy and then swap into my own Lanturn, but I don't want to give the Venusaur a chance to land the Frenzy Plant on my Lanturn, farm down my Lanturn afterwards, and then leave with a Sludge Bomb to win CMP against my Abomasnow, where it then just take out my Poliwrath. So I'm going to stay in with my Abomasnow, go for the Weather Ball, hoping it's not the CMP tie, but it is. They take out my Abomasnow with the Frenzy, and here I just need to hope Lanturn can survive a Frenzy Plant. So what started off so good for me is now looking not so good. But Lanturn, being the bulky fish it is, survives 6 Vine Whips and the Frenzy Plant, just barely to make it to that clutch surf where we can then swap into a Poliwrath and counter down. So very close endgame there after an insanely good start. Just needed to watch out for that catch. GG's to my opponent. Next battle, Abomasnow into Roserade. This one's on Bullet Seed, so it's a fantastic matchup for us. Again, making sure to throw in good timing after 7 Weather Balls. Little fun fact for you here, non-Shadow Abomasnow does win the ones against Bullet Seed Roserade, just because you're barely able to hang on from a double super effective fire type Weather Ball and land your super effective ice type Weather Ball. But we don't even need to test that as we throw one Powder Snow, swap and make the catch of their Weather Ball onto our Poliwrath, which wastes their energy as well as baits out the grass type. If my opponent was on Poison Jab Roserade, what I would have done there is I would have thrown my Powder Snow right away, played to their CMP tie. They win it, obviously, because Roserade has an extremely high attack. I would shield up, they would shield up my Weather Ball, then I would throw my next Weather Ball right away, since pacing on Roserade is straight 5s, while pacing for Abomasnow is 5-4, 5-4. I would outpace, I'd throw that Weather Ball, then I would swap into my Shadow Poliwrath to bait out any other grass type there is. But here, since we baited out that Trevenant, brought their Roserade very low, Shadow Poliwrath did what it was supposed to do in doing that, and now it leaves my Lanturn in the perfect spot to clean up this endgame against the Empoleon. Their Hydro Cannon does land. We don't need to give up our final shield to that. Lanturn can tank that no problem as we land the Thunderbolt and take out my opponent. GG's. So that is 2 back-to-back 5-0 sets with the team, ending on an 11-game win streak as well as a 21-4 win-loss on the day. But I do have one more bonus battle for you here. Abomasnow into Shadow Feraligatr. I do throw one Powder Snow and then swap it to my Poliwrath. That's met by a Trevenant. And the reason why I brought this in here as a bonus battle is because if your opponent is slow into their swap against your Shadow Poliwrath, such as they give your Shadow Poliwrath a 2 counter head start before they counter swap a Trevenant, you will actually outpace to your second Icy Wind before they reach their second Seed Bomb. You only get a 1 counter head start, they will outpace to their second Seed Bomb, but you get that 2 counter head start, you do outpace, being able to force both shields from your opponent, which puts either your Abomasnow or your Lanturn into a fantastic sweeping position. My opponent here, they're double debuffed. I can let this go and just commit to the farm down. They will reach another Seed Bomb, which again is no problem because they are double debuffed as well as that being resisted. And here, if the Shadow Feraligatr comes in, it's just going to get absolutely annihilated by that energy ball. So they're forced to bring in their third, which is the Ferrothorn, where now us being basically capped at 100 energy, we can just start spamming off Weather Ball after Weather Ball after Weather Ball, throwing one Powder Snow, then the move for good timing. As the third Weather Ball does land, they now swap into their Feraligatr, and this game is over. Lanturn can take 2 Hydro Cannons from a Shadow Feraligatr. Luckily, they're not running Crunch. If they were running Crunch, I would let the first move go and shield the second move, but they're not running Crunch. So I can let both of their moves go, load up right before they reach a third Hydro Cannon, land that Surf to take the Feraligatr out, shield up the move from the Ferrothorn, and then Lanturn flips the script on the Grass type, getting to a Surf to take it out for a good game. GG's to my opponent. Like I've said a couple times now, I did go 21-4 on the day with this team. 2 5-0s followed by a 4-1, a 3-2, and another 4-1, bringing me up to 24-25 ELO. With that said, I cannot stress enough how good this team is in the current Spring Cup meta. So please do yourself a favor, get in on it, and use it to its full potential while you still can. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Love to hear what you have to say. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.